So thanks everyone. Thanks Gail for inviting me to speak today about insurance and touching on cyber insurance, which really is the new kid on the block, we say.
Sorry about you.
Hear me?
What's the amount of the costume?
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So thanks to Gail. I appreciate that insurance to some of you is a necessary evil. Some of you it's just a line on your profit and loss statement. Some of you it's that requirement to getting the contract that you need to get that certificate of currency. All of your view on insurance really depends on your risk attitude. Thank you, Caleb, for using the word risk, because really that's what we're about. We're risk advisors. We want you to understand your risk and then we can help you insure it so that if something really does go wrong, we can help you rebuild your business, rebuild your building, get your car back on the road, do all of those things. So many, as a small business owner or even as an individual, you'll take out the minimum level of cover when you're starting out on your business. You'll have mandatory insurances such as your public liability and your workers' comp. But as your business grows, your assets, your liability and your risks will change. And it's important to keep an eye on that. It's an imperative that you keep abreast of any emerging risks, and cyber really is one of those. So, very similar to being to Caleb, my message to you is to know your risk, manage your risk, and transfer your risk if you need to. Traditional insurance is actually really easy to understand. You can actually see something. You've got a building, you've got stock, you've got vehicles, and you've got your people. They're risks that you know you have to protect. There's risks that you know. There's fire, there's flood, there's injury. There could be errors in your advice or design. So insurance is there just to cover the unforeseen. You can do everything right, but something unfortunately can still go wrong. You've got a loss and insurance can help you recover from that loss. It'll help get the glass window fixed on your shop front. It'll get your employees back to work. If you give professional advice and something does go wrong and there is a financial loss to your client, it can help you meet that loss. But unfortunately, there's now risks that you can't see. There's the Internet of Things. We all use email. We transact payments and we hold personal data. So that's where you're now exposed to this cyber risk. So I'll only touch on this quickly. I've realised how quick time goes when you're up here speaking. Gallagher recently put out a really good article on key risks to small business and just some insurance essentials. So I just want to quickly remind you that don't forget your people. So workers' comp is mandatory, particularly, and every state is different. So if you're a proprietary limited company or you're a sole trader that employs staff, you need to have workers' comp. So your staff are key to your business running. If someone takes legal action against you, then there's different things like professional indemnity insurance, public liability insurance. These will come in and pay expenses if you need to meet a legal claim. They'll be there to protect you. And then of course there's the regulatory changes. So you can find yourself facing fines and penalties. If you're a licensed restaurant or cafe, it doesn't take much if something goes wrong that you could be in breach of your liquor license. So there's things like management liability insurance, and that will again cover legal costs. And if an employee has a issue and if there's an unfair dismissal claim, then it can help you with employment costs. And then of course we've got technical risks, and that's where the cybersecurity comes in, which we're going to talk a bit more about. Cyber criminals can bring any business of any size to a halt. So you need to have everything in place for your cybersecurity measures, everything that Caleb was able to put up towards the end of those slides. If you can have that and then couple with cyber insurance if you think you need it, if you're into the red category on the risk matrix, then you might need to consider cyber insurance. You may not need to, or you may need to just keep it in mind as your business grows. That's something you need to keep in mind if your risks are getting larger or you're finding it harder to manage them, then you might also need cyber insurance. Now, while I have your ear tuned to insurance, just a very quick, I snuck this one in about inflation. So inflation is all over the media at the moment, and I would just implore you, when you're reviewing any of your insurance policies, personal or business, please look at your sums insured and your indemnity periods. So what happens is you'll take out a policy, you'll say it's going to cost me $1 million to rebuild my building. Today it's probably going to cost you at least 30% more. So if something happens, then just consider how long it's going to take you to rebuild it and the cost it's going to rebuild. So just slightly off topic, if you'll excuse me, Gail. So very similar messages. So when you're looking at your risks, you will see your risk advisor. And that could be your IT specialist, or it could be your insurer, and you're thinking about, what am I facing? And these are the things that we get told. We will just ask our clients, just consider some of the things that could happen, and this is usually what we hear back. So unfortunately, everyone's system can be reached. It doesn't take too much to get past. So IT teams and outsourced service providers, they actually need help when there's an attack. So these are pretty complex situations, and cyber insurance, you get a team of professionals that can come in and help get you back online, help your IT providers get you back up and running as well. We also hear that I'm in the cloud, everything I own is in the cloud. So, but those cloud providers won't indemnify you if you're sued because your client's data was taken. So there's some risk, you can't completely transfer 100% of it. So even cloud providers are targeted as well. So some people say, I've got a little cyber extension under my business pack or under my management liability policy. It's a limited cover. It may have been sold to you as a sleep easy. If you actually do have real risk of a cyber attack, then that cover is fairly limited. And the other thing is that IT providers tell us that we don't need cover. Not everyone's as good as Caleb. Not everyone has that integrity, and you need to ask them, will they pay for your loss of profits, the interruption to your business if you're hacked? Will they pay your fines and penalties? If the answer is no, then you may need to consider cyber insurance as well. I won't go through all the different types of cyber attacks. All I want to say to you is that cyber attacks come from poor cyber hygiene. And when there's a claim, insurers all around the world, they actually unpack a claim. They determine how they got in, how the criminals got in, and then they look at what set of questions do they now need to ask everyone, what do they need to consider in their underwriting guidelines, so that they understand what controls you have in place. Supply chain is now one of the biggest risks globally, and criminals can find one weak link in that would then impact multiple parties, and you don't want to be the weakest link. It may not be a loss to your business, it might be a third party loss, and that's often where insurance comes in to pay the big money, is when there's actually a third party loss. It's also something very hard for you to measure in your risk matrix, is the loss to one of your clients. So what is cyber insurance? What does it cover? I think we've established that if you've got an internet connection, then you are at risk of a cyber attack. No one's immune. So if something goes wrong, cyber insurance can help you pick up the pieces. Think of cyber insurance like any other insurance. So if there's a fire, your building is rebuilt. Cyber insurance will help you get back on your feet. You'll get access to a panel of experts, and they will coordinate the response to the cyber incident. So if you suffer a loss or there's a loss to your third party, then cyber insurance, and it's within hours, you can access a team of experts, and it's really a response, it's a defense. So, thinking, Gail. So we've talked today that you need to know your risk, manage it if you can, do your risk matrix, and then if you think you need to sleep easy at night, then you can consider transferring your risk. There might be enough protection that you can put in place with multi-factor and all of those things that you're then comfortable, but you're actually in control of that. You don't need insurance. I'm not here to sell you insurance by any means. It's about making an informed decision. So know if you need to transfer that risk if you can't manage it. So just quickly, the weak points for small business are your people. You need to educate your staff. They're actually usually the ones that will open the email. They might actually download something onto their laptop, and then that infiltrates your system. So educate your staff, ring fence your sensitive information, and establish clear protocols. So I recently was reading about a cyber claim where it was a property developer. He needed to settle, and he settled on pretty big figures. It was a $400,000 payment. The day before the payment was to go through, he got a request to change some details. That's a red flag, number one. He said, no, you'll email that to me, and I want it on company letterhead. I want the director's signature on it. It was all emailed to him. They made the payment. A few days later, where's my payment? We've made it. The bank tried to stop it. I'm sorry, the funds have already gone overseas. Luckily, that client did have cyber insurance in place. They took out the social engineering extension on it, which gave them, there was a limit to that cover. It's not unlimited cover, there are limits. It was a $250,000 payment that the insurance company made to help recover the loss. Still a fair bit gone. So understand your protocols. Your management. I can't stress enough, you have to do your updates, just like Kayla said. So when insurance companies are asking you questions, if you have cyber insurance in place, then you would have been asked a set of questions. Do you do MFA? Do you train your staff? Do you do all of these things? The reason insurance companies ask you questions is so that they know what management you have in place to manage your risks. They're the things that they rate your insurance on. So if you answer no to that insurance, you'll either pay more or you actually won't be able to get it, or you won't be able to get that extension. So it's important to take note of those. And then it's, of course, your resources. So you're all great business owners and you do what you do best. If there's a cyber attack, then someone as smart or smarter than the cyber criminals needs to come in and help you. There's responders, there's negotiators, they do actually negotiate. There's law firms, there's public relations specialists that come in and help you rebrand, mitigate your loss, help you get back and running, as well as getting your data restored. Thanks, Gail. So really, this is, again, a lot of what Caleb has mentioned. This is all in your control, and pretty much you need to have these things in control to be considered for insurance. And also, sorry. Yeah, I just want to quickly click because we're getting close to time. So you then can get cyber insurance if you have those controls in place, and these are the things. So crisis management, ransom and loss funds, your business interruption. You know what it's like when your computer doesn't work, or you have to do that update, which is really important, and the time it takes away. If your system is taken down and you can't service your clients, then that is a business interruption. You can have a loss of income, and insurance can help you pay for that. And then there's the third-party claims. So there's compensation that needs to be paid to third parties. There's investigation costs, there's fines, there's defence costs, and if you're liable to pay a financial loss due to fraud, then that's where cyber insurance will come in. So depending on the cyber attack, the people that sit behind a cyber, its security policy are all of these, and it's probably a bit hard to see, but they will come in. It's based, some of our insurers provide an app. You can say, I think I've had a cyber attack. I can press on the app, and within their service level of agreement, they will contact you within a certain number of hours. And then you have access to someone that can help you. And it could be simple. They could help you do it all online, or they can then work with your IT provider and come in. And then if you have to make those notifiable data breaches, they can help you with all of that as well. So, and I just wanted to say that there's lots of information just on the government website as well. They have really great tools that you can link into, that you can follow yourself, as well as on the Gallagher website. We have a cyber page dedicated, and you don't need to be a Gallagher client, that's accessible to everyone.
Thank you. Questions?
Cehston, I was just going to say that I thought cyber insurance was really cheap compared to some of the insurances that I pay. So for people who haven't got cyber insurance, it's not horrendously expensive. So that may be something people might want to know.
Yeah, and I think it's about, if you have really great controls in place, it doesn't have to be an expensive insurance. And it's easy for me to say everyone needs it, but that's your decision. You make that decision if you need it, depending on what risks are involved, what resources you have to get back up and running.
Sorry, Cehston, the other thing, we had a question just before. All my stuff's on the public cloud. If you do have your things on the public cloud and you're using MFA and you're using things that have been implemented by these organisations, cyber insurance is actually really, really affordable.
Yeah.
They're forcing you to implement these controls anyway. You have antivirus, you have MFA, you have some sort of risk mitigation. If you've got a risk plan that you've done for half an hour, insurance look really, really grimy on that. And I really just want to reiterate something that Cehston said, is that IT providers will say you don't need insurance. They're all lying. I'm telling you now, if an IT provider says you don't need cyber protection insurance, find another IT provider. We are not a small IT organisation. We look after a lot of data, a lot of it, and we have cyber protection insurance. Just in case one of our team members, and I want to reiterate this, employees do something they shouldn't have done. 9 times out of 10, it is not on purpose. It is accidental. We've all been there 11:30 at night and clicked on a link and gone, damn it, why did I click on that? Cyber protection insurance will protect you. We are humans, we are habitual, we make mistakes. So this will protect you. You should always have this at the bottom of your risk matrix, cyber protection insurance. It's really important.
Thanks. Yeah, so just to clarify, all our public liability and professional indemnity insurance do not have cyber insurance in there, or did you say check the policy, but most likely not? Is that?
So more and more, each policy, no matter what it is, will actually have a cyber exclusion. So then there's some policies that will have a cyber extension, or it will say if that policy would have otherwise responded to the incident that occurred to the loss, and there is a cyber incident attached to that, then they may give cover under the policy. They won't exclude it. It's important that every policy has been rewritten by every insurer due to recent legislation changes, and it'll have basically a COVID exclusion on there now. You can't get cover for communicable disease, and we'll also clarify the cyber intent of the policy. So it will either fully exclude, it will say, no, sorry, if it's cyber, you're cut off, or it will say, we will cover you if the loss would have happened anyway. It doesn't matter if that cyber incident happened, then it will. So it is actually important. I know insurance documents are not fun to read, but you do actually need to have a look at your exclusions and the new wording around it.
Any more?
That's all right.
I'm not sure whether this is a good question or not, but on one side we hear cyber risk and cyber infiltration is rife in the marketplace. Then we hear you say quite often, insurance companies have a huge team of IT specialists to come into your business. Do insurance companies really have this number of staff available just at a click?
Yeah,
I
they
just
do.
can't see
What cyber insurance is a response. So it is there. That's what. So I guess if you had a building claim, you'd expect an assessor to come out and say, yeah, right, it's going to cost you this to rebuild. They actually do, because public relation expenses are a huge impact. Paying the fines and penalties, and the legal side of it is massive, because there's fines and penalties. If you breach someone's data and you have to notify that to the Privacy Commissioner, you will be charged. So insurance comes in, they have a panel of lawyers and the claims response is 24-hour, 7 days a week. Yeah. So if it's not, you're not being sold the right product. So ask, what is the claim protocol? Because it's not, you buy car insurance, you pretty much go to anyone, you're going to get kind of the same cover. But understand what you are purchasing. It's an investment into your business and protecting your assets. So do understand, if something goes wrong, what will I have? Do I have a phone number? So there's usually a phone number, because you can't send an email. If they say you can send an email, well, you probably can't, because everything's been taken down. You've got a phone number, you've got an app on your phone. Everyone sort of provides different product, but they're the things. So you need to understand what the response is, but they do. So yeah, and it's worldwide. So Gallagher is an international company. We work with Chubb Insurance, which is international. There's other providers that we work with as well, but their cyber insurance is across the world. It has no boundaries. So, yeah.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah, I was just going to tell a funny story, but it's not funny, it's rather sad. I went to the dentist, and I knew the treatment was going to cost me $3,000, and I'd already predetermined from the health fund that they were going to give me $2,400, so I had my little credit card that has $600 on it ready to pay. I get there and they're running around in circles and they're not calling me in, which when you go to a dentist, it's always a bit of a worry. Anyway, after a while, they said to me, look, we're really sorry, we've been hacked. We can't give you an invoice. You have to pay us, but we can't give you an invoice. You can't use high caps, because you can only use high caps on the day. And so suddenly my $600 had to become $3,000 in the time which they were doing whatever this awful process was to my teeth. So I had to, and I normally only have one credit card with me, that I have two, so I could afford to pay them. But you don't think when you turn up to the dentist that you've got a crisis with your treatment, because they've been hacked. So it's so easy, and the ramifications, I couldn't use high caps then. I just thought it was, interesting. They did have cyber insurance, and by the time I left, there were people in there running around trying to sort out what had happened and fix it up. So, so
that's great.
Just an interesting tale.
Any more questions? Well, that's great. Thanks, Cehston. I guess if we can link both those together, I'm on the building side. I know I have to understand the rules. I know I have to get all the people that come with me, and the building site has to make sure all their people understand the rules and they're updated. But I need to get some risk management around my operation. How's that sound? And I have to continue to make sure that everything I do, does that change the way I'm walking around that building site? Maybe. So thank you very much. It was wonderful.